Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome
Cheers.
to the What You Should Know podcast. Shawn, what are you drinking?
Oh my God. Big surprise this time. I'm drinking water because I'm running again in the morning tomorrow. What about you?
A cup of blood. No, I'm drinking cranberry juice today. Today's episode, we are going to cover how to get away with murder or...
The devil made me do it.
And so we're going to do something a little different this time. We want you guys to decide whether or not this is fact or faked.
Did you say fate?
Faked, like fake,
Faked.
as not
Faked.
real.
Okay.
So we're going to cover the Devil Made Me Do It story, also known as the Conjuring 3 movie, but we're going to do the real life story versus the Conjuring story.
Yeah. So it was really a court case that I don't remember when it happened. What was it, like late 80s?
81, I believe.
Early 80s. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into this. So I think the movie actually, like, it's 2021, the movie came out, right?
The movie just came out this year, yeah.
Very relevant.
Totally relevant today.
So yeah, I guess we should start with kind of where this whole thing began with the little boy, David. Do you have his last name?
David. Yeah,
David. David's all you got to know because he's not the main star of the court case.
Arne Johnson's our main star.
Yes.
So we could start with him. He was like, I think 16 when he started dating this girl who was like 9 years older than him.
And David, the little boy, is the girl's younger brother.
Yeah, Debbie's younger brother.
Yeah. So Arne Johnson has been in a relationship with Debbie, and basically weird things start happening.
Well, they decide they're going to buy a house first.
I didn't realize that they bought the house together.
Oh, yeah. It was going to be like they were going to buy a house and move in together. And this was in the summer of 1980. So that'll give you kind of a timeline on how quickly this stuff goes down. So, okay. Yeah, that's when Arne and Debbie get the house. David was kind of like looking up to Arne kind of from the story. I got a lot of the information from like the Warrens and Arne. So, of course, it's going to paint them as sort of like a hero.
Who did they paint as a hero? The Warrens and Arne?
Yeah.
Okay. Which you could definitely argue that Arne is a hero.
Yeah.
At the end, I think we could.
We'll let the listeners decide.
We will let them decide, and we'll share our thoughts too. So, I mean, basically, they move into this new place, and David starts claiming that he's seeing things, particularly like a man that nobody else can see. Right?
Yeah, he went up to the old master bedroom because Debbie was like, "You got to clean that." And when he's in there, he says he sees an old man, and that the old man pushed him and said, like, "Get out," or something like that, like leave. And then they all check the house. Nothing was wrong. The older brother gets up there, sees that the door slams on him, and he's like, well, this is like weird. The mom says that she thinks the house feels dark and she doesn't want them living there. And after that, I think they just went home and they were like, yeah, like this is kind of creepy. And they all slept at Debbie's parents' house, I believe.
Really? So what I had listened to actually said that the parents kind of wrote it off as like BS for a little while. So go ahead.
Okay. So in the Warrens version of the story, that night, David said, the monster's coming to our house, or the beast is what they started to call him. So he was like, this beast is coming. So the old man that was the ghost in the house, he said, transformed into a monster at night.
Oh my God.
And it was called the Beast. And this was something that was unusual. And he said, like, he can see the beast whenever he closed his eyes. and that the beast was still talking to him and staying and saying, you can't move in, don't move in. And then the next day, Arne felt like taps on his body, like to like turn around and stuff. The old owner said that she actually left because of the old spots and an old man, which is kind of like signs of a haunted area. Is this all matching up with what you found so far?
So wait, what I had read and listened to didn't go into like this type of detail. They talked about how David described the man as kind of like taunting him and kind of just freaking him out on a regular basis. And he was afraid of him. Nobody else acknowledged at first that David was seeing things. I mean, what I had saw was the parents basically said, like, look, like we checked. It might be creepy, but like you're just making this up for whatever reason. And then what kind of happened was David was starting to like really panic in situations where at times he was like freaking out and crying and everything because of things that he claimed he was being told by whatever the man, the beast was. Yeah. And eventually he had a full picture that he could describe him as, which the description that I heard was huge black eyes, narrow face, kind of like part horse bottom. He had hooves and big teeth.
Yeah.
And then the encounters were kind of picking up and becoming more and more scary to the point where they actually saw marks on David's neck like somebody was choking him.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I had something pretty similar. There's a little bit more detail with like one night when the beast attacked their house and the mom. So in like the Warrens version, they never really said they didn't believe him because they said it was so weird for him to act this way, to the point where they would even like start blessing the house and they were throwing like holy water to protect the house. And then it said that the beast, the one that like the next day he closed his eyes, he's like, oh, the beast is upstairs in our attic. And at night, Arne was able to hear it and said that he went upstairs to check and didn't find anybody in the attic.
Wow. So
but it was saying that Arne was one of the first people to hear something and check it out besides David.
What I saw was so first when it started getting worse too, originally David claimed it was only at nighttime. But then the paranormal activity type stuff started happening during the daytime.
Yeah.
And this was kind of one of the starting things where they were like, maybe we should get out of here. And stuff that like specifically was happening to David during these like spikes in paranormal activity was he would have seizures, he would be hissing, and he'd be yelling in other languages that there's no way he would know.
Yeah.
Like what those languages are. Yeah, like he would be screaming and stuff like that in like basically like very creepy and scary ways. Like he's possessed. But what I saw was Arne basically tried to make the point that he wasn't afraid of them, and it almost got to like Arne like offering himself up to protect David.
So there were a couple like they called the priest a few times in between then, right? You heard about that?
Yeah, so I heard that there were like I heard more about the priests in the court case because lawyers wanted them to testify.
Oh, so this covered nothing on the court case. This was pretty much like all preemptive. And the court case was kind of like, it was like the last 5 minutes of the documentary that I'd watched. So I think that's interesting.
I mean, I didn't have a ton on it, but both legal teams really wanted, there were 6 priests that they said were involved, and both of them really wanted all 6 of them to testify, or at least one of them.
With the Catholic Church, when you want an exorcism, you have to actually put out for it, right? So all this crazy stuff that Shawn was talking about was going on in the house, they contacted a priest, and the priest says it's gonna take a couple months because like you gotta document everything. So Debbie actually recorded things. So like Dave would be like, oh, the beast just told me that like we can't remove all the religious relics in the house, or if we call the priest, like the thing will kill me. And that's when he saw the choke marks.
Oh my God.
So they started doing like the recordings to try and get everything. And then at one point, the beast, he said he got stabbed by the beast. And they have pictures of it where he actually has like claw marks on his body that are like huge.
Wow.
And they were like, yep, that was done by the beast. At this point, the beast says, if you like don't give up your soul, I'm going to bring like a legion, which is like the term for like a ton of demons in. And basically he brings 42 in for backup, according to the story. They didn't have names. They just had numbers. And that's when the priest was like, we should probably call the Warrens.
Wow.
And
so,
yeah, go into who the Warrens are.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you can finish first.
Well, no, because the rest is like Warren heavy.
All right. Well, I mean, the Warrens were basically big-time paranormal enthusiasts. It's a couple who I think they're from New England area too, and they're devoted Roman Catholics. And from what I read, they kind of fully believed that because of their faith, they were protected. They believed that spirits visit people who aren't very religious because they steer clear of any signs of religion, whether it be just like a cross or something in the house or people who are praying. They steer clear of that stuff. But also the wife claimed, and I don't know how serious the claims are, but she claimed to like kind of be like a communicator.
Clairvoyant is the term.
I didn't know what that was, but yeah, she claimed to be a communicator with whatever the spiritual world.
Yeah, and she also said she could see like auras and things like that. And Ed Warren was like acclaimed demonologist.
Yeah, but and what was cool though is like it was literally like a hobby where they like wanted to help people. Like they never accepted payment from people to do it, and they never turned away any story. So it was like, no matter how crazy things were, they were willing to come out. They were willing to do whatever they could to help you. And because they were genuinely interested and they wanted to help whoever the people were, and they believed anything because they were enthusiasts.
So that brings me back to the Warrens. So they brought in a doctor to interview the kid. Also, when you are getting or trying to apply for an exorcism with the Catholic Church, you need to get checked out by like a doctor and everything before it can be confirmed. The Warrens brought in a doctor, and when they were there, Mrs. Warren said she could see like a dark spirit around the boy, David. And so she was like, yo, this is no joke. This is real. They're like, we need an exorcism. We need to do this like right away. And then like the kid goes nuts, pulls a knife on Alan, who I think was one of the brothers. The kid also then claims that Satan's inside of him. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
Yep. So according to the Warrens, this was the literal devil inside the boy. And that's why he had control over so many demons. And that's why like 42 came, because he was like, I'm the head honcho. We need to take this kid. And he really wanted the soul. So Arne would recite Bible verses trying to stop David from doing things. At one point, David the Warrens left and David like died for like 3 minutes or something. And they kept reciting the Bible verses, and then eventually David woke up.
Wow.
Like they said he was like legit blue, and they were like he was dead. And then the Warrens came back and he was alive again. And then over the next few weeks, he kept being possessed. More of those things Shawn was talking about. And Debbie's kept recording all of these. One time that like the kid was going like absolutely berserk. And that's when I heard that Arnie says, like, stop bothering my the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you on. And immediately the Warrens are there and they're like, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
Like, that is so dumb. You can't challenge a demon because they're gonna take you in. Because you just shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then right afterward, Arnie sees like a black mass for the first time. And this is the first time like everybody's like he's seen it. And also during one of the like final exorcisms with David, like David goes into like a deep voice and goes, David's not here, the soul is mine. And then I think that's when they started another exorcism and it went on for like a whole night.
Wow.
And oh nope, they did 2 exorcisms, like trying to do a full one. The first one they did on September 8th, which is Mary's birthday. Or that was the second one. And then afterward, everything seemed like it was normal, but then it really wasn't. And then it really was. And the Warrens came and they were like, Arnie, you're screwed. And then the beast was gone after that.
Okay. So one other detail that was mentioned in what I read was that David predicted correctly the events that we're going to describe later on.
What?
That was what I heard.
Oh, they didn't. I see. Okay, we'll leave our opinions.
I don't know how true it is because I didn't see it anywhere else, but there was a source that said that he predicted what we're about to talk about next.
All right. So November 1980. So it's literally been like 4 months, right?
Yeah. It wasn't that far past. I don't have an exact timeline, but it wasn't that far.
Yeah. Debbie gets a new job, which comes with an apartment, and her boss, Alan, who I think is the same name as her brother. But anyway, Alan is their landlord and becomes their friend, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's February 16th, Shawn, 1981. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so this is basically this is the start of the court case. So I want to say up until this point in time, sources had said that, including what's her name, Debbie, that Arnie and Alan got along great.
Yep.
Debbie said that they never had any issues
before.
Friends. Yeah, they were good friends, no problems. So I don't know exactly what led up to this, but I do know that while out kind of in the woods or whatever, Arnie stabs, and the police say it was a violent argument, but Arnie stabs Alan several times in the chest. And what was kind of important to note was that it was allegedly near a well in the forest that is right around where David started encountering whatever spiritual thing, demonic, whatever you want to call it, presence. It was right near there.
So in the Warren story,
yeah, go ahead. What's their story?
Their story is a little different.
I'm sure it is different. It's funny hearing the difference.
On the 6th, and I listened to a couple of their podcasts, and like pretty much all from like this little part about the murder that we're going to talk about, everybody has it differently, which I think is crazy considering that this is the murder.
Yeah.
So Debbie calls the cops to help Alan because he's been stabbed. So he was taken alive and found when they found him. Debbie then says it's Alan and he's not, like, it's Arne and he's not right. Like Arne did it and he's not right now. So the cops find Arne like 2 miles down the road, confused as heck. And he's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Alan dies in the ambulance, or when he's in the hospital. Supposedly it was the same ambulance guy that finds him. I heard from the Warrens version that it was a cop. And the cop apparently didn't have a gun on him at the time, which was very stressful for the wife, who was also in the documentary for some reason. Mm-hmm. During like the interviews with the cops, Arnie's like really confused. So that day, Arne decided not to go to work, and he was drinking with Debbie and Alan. They were playing music together in the like apartment, and then Debbie says she wants to leave. Alan grabs her arm, or potentially the little cousin's arm, and pulls them. And then that's when Arne like goes dead face, apparently. And they were like, this is when you could tell it wasn't him. He pushes the guy, Alan. Alan gets ready to fight. And Debbie again says his eyes went black. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
Arne goes at him with the knife, runs off. They find the knife. Apparently when it was dropped, it was glowing. And anyone that saw David wasn't surprised that this was happening. And it says the devil hopped in Arne when he was angry. The Warrens go to the police and they say, you have to look into this. And they actually spoke with the police officers that were there, and they're like, you need to know about what really happened. Basically, the press then takes this story and goes absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Because they're like, wow, the devil made this guy kill someone. But also it said, and their like defense on why he was confused is because most people apparently don't recognize what's going on when they're possessed. The lawyer said he was going to do it pro bono, and that there were 2 other criminal cases out in Europe that had similar situations with demonic possession. And then during the first day of the court case, the lights were flickering on and off, which is a quote sign that there's ghosts or demons there. And jury members were having bad things happen to their family members. And then what they said was that the judge said, we're not doing you can't do demonic possession. So on the stand, the lawyer switched to self-defense, and then Arne was found not guilty of murder, but of manslaughter, which is supposed to be 10 to 20 years, but Arne was out in 5.
Which, yeah, that lines up with what I saw. There was a lot of extra, like, very, like, intimate details of the day that I didn't hear. But from what I did hear was that the lawyers wanted the priest who performed the exorcism to testify under oath. But basically they said that they treat it kind of like medical information where it's personal, and they refused to do it. And I don't think the church wanted them to do it either. And then basically what I thought was the craziest part too, after all this, is after Arne got out of prison, him and Debbie got married, had 2 kids. And also note, he got let out early because of good behavior. They got married, 2 kids, normal life, normal job for Arne.
Still happy together. David hasn't been possessed since.
Yes. That was like, from the second I started looking into this, I was like, I need to know where they are today. And everything was just like, they're back to normal. married, kids, and it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on the trial? Because I literally had nothing on the trial.
No, that's all I had. It was really just like they wanted. I mean, the judge had said like, not that I don't believe what you're saying, but in like a legal court standing, I need to be able to prove like without or any reasonable doubt or beyond reasonable doubt or whatever that what you're saying is true, and we can't get proof of that,
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. This stuff scares me.
I know.
I started watching the documentary literally less than 10 minutes in. I was like, I'm not going to sleep tonight if I watch this.
Yeah. I think it's spooky stuff, dude. Really spooky. So I think now that the audience has gotten enough time, we'll give them, a couple seconds. You guys should be thinking right now, guilty or not guilty. Shawn, let's hear your verdict. Guilty or not guilty?
Well, he definitely murdered him.
I mean,
which is why it's hard, because
do you think the devil made him do it?
It sounds like there was something going on, man.
All right.
I don't think you can rule that out. That's so the amount of accounts and stuff that everybody was saying.
You say there's a reasonable doubt.
I think their story is too crazy not to be 100% fake. I think there's some truth in what they're saying.
All right. I would have to go with that I do think his story is potentially very true. I think there's enough evidence that I'm questioning it, and I think if a priest had gone on stand, I would have said not guilty if it was allowed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now let's play devil's advocate for a minute. So here's my thoughts, right?
Okay.
We got a couple theories going on this one. Number one, the whole thing is bullshit.
Oh my God.
In 2007, the brother Alan said that this is all nonsense, that his brother was never possessed. His brother had mental illness, and he actually sued the Warrens.
What?
Yep. He said that this was all a publicity stunt for money. This didn't happen. My family just got left in the ruins. He's like, yeah, my little brother was like, he had like some learning disability, and like he might have had some mental issues, but like he was not possessed by a demon. And if that were the case, he probably would still be possessed to this day, but he is not. So this is total bullshit. That's what he says.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that once I started doing research on this stuff, then I was like, maybe this guy is guilty. So that was my first point. Second point being that I also heard 3 to 4 to 5 different versions of the same story. The Warrens version of the story was very different than the version of the story that you kind of heard. And I heard a bunch of different stories. Like one of them was that they were at like a restaurant beforehand drinking together, which Arne called off sick, bro. Why are you going to a restaurant and drinking like it's like a fish? So they apparently had 15 drinks between the two guys, which is over a bottle of wine apiece.
Yeah, I mean, a bottle of wine is like 4 glasses.
Yeah, like 2 bottles of wine-ish a person. Yeah. And that's according to the waitress. And that, again, this is from some other source that I heard, not from the Warrens documentary where Arne's the hero. Number 2, this is a huge cash cow to throw the devil made me do it in court.
So I saw that the Warrens never charged any money, but they did sell the stories.
Have you heard of The Devil Made Me Do It, The Conjuring 3? Yes. Because they made a shit ton of money off that.
They're dead though.
That's true. But they did make a ton of money, and it basically pushes their like message out, right? In the 80s.
Yeah.
When they were trying to be like, demonic possession is real, demonic possession is really important. What better way to put it than put it on the grand stage where it's going to get a ton of publicity to saying in court the devil made him do it.
Mm-hmm.
The lawyer did the case pro bono, which I think is a flag because I think he did it because it built his brand, right?
Yeah, because he's definitely got a. I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's skeptical.
And in both the demonic possessions that happened in Europe, where they were in court, both of those people got less, like smaller sentences than they should have had. Neither,
wow.
None of those were on murder. None of those were on murder, but their sentencing was shorter.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting. Here's my this is my kind of shitty maybe theory about what happened. This one I'm not too proud of, but all right, Shawn, February 16th is 2 days after what holiday?
Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, maybe loose lips sink some ships, bro.
Oh my God.
We are drinking 15 bottles of wine together. People are 15 glasses. Mm-hmm. People are blacking out. We're going to go back to Alan's house. We're going to party a little bit. Maybe the boss is like, yo, I took your girl out for Valentine's Day. Maybe he makes a joke or some sort of inappropriate comment. Or maybe he says, we did something together, right? Mm-hmm. And then, boom, pretty much completely trashed. You murder this guy. Turns to his wife, his girlfriend that he's been dating for years. Goes, shit, what are we going to do? Well, I have that recording of you saying, yo, demon, come inside of me and quit bothering my brother. Let's just say we were possessed.
Oh my God.
And let's run with it. Let's run with it. And because there was, again, this was one of those things that I heard it on I saw it, but I couldn't find it myself anywhere. Apparently, the little cousin or sister that was there at the time was like, you know how he gets when he's drunk. Said that. Yeah. Yup. And that was that when I was listening to it, it was very cool to hear the different versions of the story because you could tell certain people wanted you to believe a certain way.
Yes, there was. The second I started watching that documentary, I knew 100% what they wanted me to think.
Yeah, exactly. You knew they wanted you to side with the Warrens and
yes,
make this a really big deal.
It was very clearly coming from the Warrens.
So the last thing, and this is something that I definitely think could be just a whole episode about the Warrens. And I found this out literally a half an hour ago. And I was like, I don't have enough time to do research on this. But so I did the Warrens had a huge way of making money on this, right? This would be a huge thing for them. And when I typed in Warren scandal, first thing that came up was Ed Warren was with a woman named Judith Penny. Mm-hmm. And they claimed that she was their younger cousin that they had took in, but he had a sexual relationship with this girl over 40 years.
Wait. This girl, Judith, is allegedly
Judith Penny.
Yes.
Yep.
Debbie's sister or something, or niece?
No. She is just allegedly the Warrens keep. They kept her in the house and she was their cousin is kind of what she told people, but Ed had a serious relationship with this girl.
So what does this have to do with everything else though?
It's just showing that maybe these people aren't as good as they seem.
I see. Okay.
So if he's willing to do kind of scummy things, and apparently Lorraine was cool with it. Mrs. Warren was totally cool with him having.
Yeah, I get it though. It shows that morally something is not right going on with them. They're willing to do some shady things to begin with. So
So yeah, there's always like that. There's that huge question of like, if he's willing to cross the line there, is he telling the truth about anything? But I don't know. I don't know where to leave everybody. That's all I have. But I don't know. Are they guilty or is he not guilty? I definitely think the boy David was possessed. I have no doubts on that one.
Yeah, that was so scary hearing about that stuff. I mean, hey, that's just crazy.
And like the fact that so much crap happened to that kid over like a 3-month period is wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy story though. Did he get away with murder, guys? The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Shawn?
I don't think so. I mean, that's what you should know about The Devil Made Me Do It.
Do you want to tell our podcast fans?
We can give them a little teaser. We got something big coming for Halloween.
We got a very good special that's coming up.
Not we don't need to name names off the top of our heads right now, but there is going to be our first ever interview. Stay tuned.
Guest star. Everybody
Yeah.
get ready. Speaking of, everybody follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like us, rate us 5 stars, and leave a comment. Email us at the WYSK podcast at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we are taking requests.
That too. And we'd love to sponsor whatever product you have.
True.
Send it our way. We love helping out other businesses grow. So let us know if you're interested.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks. Oh yeah.
All right.
Little bonus feature right here, guys. So you've seen the Post Malone story about the museum that he visited in Vegas.
Yeah,
I think it was a couple years ago now.
It's Zach Bagans' museum.
Yeah, and he like touched like a haunted box. You've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
Did you see the box that he touched?
Yeah, so it's called the Divot Box, and it is like a Jewish demon like possessed it, and basically like it is known to be like the most haunted like cabinet that ever existed. And it's so bad that they tell people like you can't touch it. And when you go into the museum, they're like, don't take pictures of anything. And when it comes to the Divot Box, don't touch the glass that it's in. Like, just don't.
Yeah. Post Malone touched it. And did you see what happened to him though?
No, what happened?
So his private jet on the way home from the museum, he flew from Vegas back to Los Angeles. The private jet had to do like an emergency landing because there was something wrong with one of the tires or something, or like something serious is wrong where he was up in the air for like an hour and they had to do an emergency landing. Then he gets back to LA and like one of his first car rides out, he's in his Rolls Royce and somebody hits him and the car is totaled, but he gets out of the car okay.
Really?
And it was like 2 potential like near death experiences within like the week that he got back after that.
Jesus.
Did you find it?
They say like don't go near it because bad stuff happens to anybody that touches it. Like,
yeah.
I watched an episode of a different podcast and like they were talking about like anybody that's owned it has had like terrible stuff happen to them and they've had like terrible dreams.
Jeez.
And it's like they like don't want to own it. Like they're like, all right, give it to somebody else. And like that's pretty much how it gets moved from place to place until Zach Bagans is like, this is so haunted, I want to buy it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that stuff's crazy.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure there's a ton more of like haunted relics and different things like that. Now that I'm in Boston, like I'm definitely going. Salem's like the top 5 or top 10 most haunted places in the United States.
You know, I was thinking about this when I was doing this. All these stories kind of take place in the New England area.
So
it's like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Like,
yeah, I was listening to an interview with a Boston ghost hunter, and he said that New England is like the best place to be if you're a ghost hunter because it's like the oldest part of America, right?
Yeah.
So the original colonies were all out here, and like a lot of the Civil War battles happened out here. The Revolutionary War battles all happened out here. So like that's huge numbers of death early on in certain areas, which I think is kind of crazy, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Any other bonus content this week?
I don't think we have any other bonus content, but that was good
All
shit.
Right.
Just a nice little add-on.
Yeah, there's a little something extra. That's what you should know about some bonus Post Malone content.
That's what you should know about Posty.
Yeah.
Posty in the divot box.
Yeah. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, follow us everywhere. Thanks again for watching.